I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Kathleen Kennedy potentially finally stepping down as the president of Lucasfilm. And the reason why I say potentially is because for a lot of you guys that have not been on the internet for most of your life, even from the period that it started blowing up, I know a lot of you guys are on the internet more now because of the whole presidential election and Donald Trump winning. So more of you guys are on Twitter now. But for those of you guys who weren't on Twitter or on the internet spheres of conversations and rumors happening around basically all this nerd stuff, is that rumors of Kathleen Kennedy leaving Lucasfilm have existed basically since like The Force Awakens ended its theatrical run. It would usually be from like scoopers, so random people with little bit of connections in the industry getting like whispers, right? And to be fair to them, information can change all the time by the time they even tell you it exists. I understand that, but it never came from an official big outlet like a Variety, Hollywood Reporter, a Deadline, a Screen Rant, a Forbes, IndieWire, any of that stuff, right? It was always coming from basically random buttfuck nobodies, for being honest here. Now, it's come out recently, very similar to the Luka Doncic and the Anthony Davis situation. It was a report randomly at 10 o'clock in the night. Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down finally. It's like, and this ain't from like a buttfuck nobody scooper. This is from an like actual mainstream media they want you to get your news from. It's like, oh, this is big people reporting on this now. And then the thing with Star Wars, for me, people know my Star Wars story because I've said it in videos before. Never really like actually liked it growing up. I was never that interested. I eventually watched The Last Jedi because my friend had an extra ticket. So I took a date that night to watch it. And yeah, obviously when the movie was over, people clapped, and I was like, who the fuck would clap at this dog shit? It was a terrible fucking movie. And then I went home with her. We had a lot of sex, obviously. I easily destroyed her, made her a bunch of orgasms, obviously. But around 2021, when we had the lockdown period, I chose to just watch all the movies. Original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and I literally watched all the Disney stuff, all the movies. Yes, that means rewatching The Last Jedi, because I told myself, you know what, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is good. Maybe I was just in a bad mood that day. No, I rewatched it. It is a steaming actual pile of literal trash. So after that, I actually ended up watching Boba Fett Season 1. Easily might be one of the worst TV shows ever made. Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out, and I even said it back in the day when on my bigger channel. I said, if this show stinks, I'm done. Because if you can't even do Obi-Wan good, why am I investing the time anymore? Obi-Wan Season 1, literally a worthless pile of trash. I'm done. Me personally. Andor comes out. People said it's very good. And then after that, you had like what? The Acolyte come out. People said it was trash.
Ahsoka. You're forgetting Ahsoka, sir.
Rosario Dawson, Black, but yeah, you had Andor, Ahsoka, Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and all that stuff. And this is the thing with Star Wars. If you told me years ago, because Star Wars is very, very big, it's massive. If you told me that Star Wars would be a dedicated TV series brand on a streaming service, I called you crazy. These should be like event movies at this point. Now at this point, because you had Mandalorian and Grogu be as successful as it is, it's getting its own movie. And this is the thing here at this point. Now when it comes to Star Wars, is if that movie at the end of its box office run, however long it's going to be the box office, because we know these big movies will leave theaters in like, 3 weeks at this point. If that movie fails, that's the state of Star Wars. Either if it does really well, okay, there might still be hope. But if that movie does bad, that's the state of it. Because if there's no interest in Star Wars movies anymore, why make that a Rey movie? Because that's all Star Wars can do now. Announce random shit. Say random shit gets canceled after a few years. How many people got attached to Star Wars projects? The black guy who was supposed to play Lando in that TV series. Donald Glover, that his name, right? Or Lando something. Lando Calrissian, whatever the fuck. That series is scrapped. Rangers of the New Republic with Gina Carano. scrapped because of political reasons. Obviously, you had
Hey, there's a lawsuit still going. She might be reinstated any day now,
which is good. Which is good. I think she deserves it, honestly. You had the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie axed, Patty Jenkins Star Wars movie axed, James Mangold might be axed. We also have fucking Simon Kinberg, who directed Dark Phoenix. He got announced he might be getting a movie. Let's be honest here, that's gonna get axed. Rian Johnson's Star Wars
trilogy got axed too.
The Game of Thrones people stuff. They went and I don't watch Game of Thrones, but what I heard was that they basically destroyed Game of Thrones in the last season so they could go and do a Star Wars movie. Their shit never comes out.
Feels like it.
Rian Johnson,
but who knows?
Doesn't come out. You know.
So with the D&D thing, it's hard to tell if those guys are just incompetent, if they don't have an actual script, which I don't know what that would have made their trilogy. We might have been saved a really bad additional trilogy because, Game of Thrones was pretty awesome up until they didn't have source material to pull from. And then it just became so stupid. So I don't know. It could be a good thing, but I don't know. There's so many talented people that were given a chance and just, seem to kind of not be able to work it out. Like again, I forget it's Lord and something. I forget their names, but the dudes who did like the Lego movie, they're the ones who were doing Solo, and they made it halfway through. I can't imagine those guys being. Everything that I've seen come from those guys seems like quality. So I don't know what it was. I never did kind of hear the scoop on why it just was a different way, and Ron Howard had to come in and recorrect the course.
I think a lot of it's interference. I think that they're constantly biting at the scripts, and you hear about like this happened with Kevin Favreau. John Favreau.
Good Lord, who's Kevin?
Book of Boba Fett. But Book of Boba Fett season wasn't even supposed to happen, but they forced him to do it, and then that's why half of it is essentially Mandalorian.
What did the main actor say? He said he felt insanely disappointed on the direction they chose to go with Boba Fett.
I think they go in there and they say, "Hey, this is problematic. We don't like this. We want you to change that. This doesn't do good with its focus group." And I think that these directors just finally throw their hands up and like, "Listen, if you're not going to let me direct, then there's no point in me even doing this garbage."
Kathleen Kennedy interview saying that, "Hey, I have a lot of men calling me up to direct and write and produce Star Wars projects, but I'm pretty much just only hiring women." I'm paraphrasing that, but that was something she literally had said. She basically was insanely sexist in her hiring practices, which is against the law. You actually can't do that. I don't know why anyone would just openly say they're sexist in hiring people, but that's kind of what DEI is. Speaking of, let's go on movies first. Movies. I mean, not the actual movie quality. We know that's been pretty much up and down. All the director issues with Rogue One, who was directed by Gareth Edwards, that had a bunch of production issues, trailers and everything, Solo production issues. I mean, fucking the Rise of Skywalker production issues that were reportedly, bunch of TV shows that have come out that no one gives a fuck for, apathy for the brand. These weird Disney shills are so, Star Wars is great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. That's why everyone currently just thinks it's crap. Yeah, it must be really great, right?
So granted, there's a ton of misses, but we haven't mentioned the hit yet. The Force Awakens. It's not my favorite movie, but man, it is like the most successful movie out there. I think it was like 987 US or something like that, 2 billion worldwide. It's still the most, whatever you want to call that. It has made the most money out of anything in the series. It is a huge success, but then you got diminishing returns on each one after that. But you at least got to give her credit for that. It seemed like she was on the right course. That was the main first thing that she did.
Now let's give out the real credit. So I want to understand this when it comes to like movie producing, from at least the little that I've seen throughout director commentary and heard and all that bunch of things I try to listen to when it comes to other people. It's really hard to tell what a producer does. And it's something, I guess the best analogy is a sports analogy, where like when you win, the main star gets all the praise, but if you lose, the main star gets all the fucking criticism, right? We do not know the impact she had on the actual projects that a lot of people bring up for her career. Do you guys really think she told Steven Spielberg what to do on the sets of Jurassic Park, the movie where the giant robot T-Rex malfunctioned and the
that's
kids
not
were legitimately
the
screaming?
role of a producer is not to necessarily tell a director what to do. It's to make what the director's vision happen. And
how much of the impact did she
to be fair, Spielberg is on record saying that Kathleen Kennedy is the greatest producer of all time. So he seems to like her style of it, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you that, what exactly she did. Kind of the role of producer is generally make shit happen.
I do think he's being nice. There's a lot of people who do that, though. They don't there's a lot of people in Hollywood that still have this mindset where I'm just going to say the most appropriate thing. I don't really want to step on anyone's toes. I don't want to be the guy to do that. I mean, he doesn't seem to be like a guy who would lie, but like we know throughout Hollywood's history.
Man, she's got an impeccable record, though. 8
Academy
Awards for Best Picture. You've got E.T., Color Purple, Munich, War Horse, Lincoln.
I bookmarked everything.
Okay, nice.
So, ahead of Kathleen Kennedy's retirement and exit from Lucasfilm, a reminder that she's produced some of the most, a reminder that she's produced some amazing movies over the years. Now, the Star Wars stuff we're going to talk about, so don't count any of the Star Wars stuff. We'll just count the stuff right here. Okay, so we have.
Well, she gets a producer credit in those too, so technically those count. But she wasn't like EP.
We're going to cover the Star Wars stuff in this anyway, so we just have the non-Star Wars stuff over here first. So we have E.T., Poltergeist, Indiana Jones. Is that 4 or 5? No, this is 4.
2. Temple of Doom.
2. Okay, so you have E.T., Poltergeist, Indiana Jones 2, Gremlins, The Goonies, Back to the Future trilogy, The Color Purple, An American Tail, Empire of the Sun, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That's Taika Waititi's movie.
Oh yeah.
Land Before. No way she produced one of the best animated movies ever made, The Land Before Time. No way. Fuck.
She did multiple. I'm sorry, An American Tale, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Land Before Time. They're all amazing. And Cape Fear, come on, man. That's one of the best De Niro performances.
I do believe
best
in
Hoffman
fairies.
Performance.
I do believe in fairies. What? No way, man.
She does have a great resume.
This is a great Schindler's List, Twister, The Sixth Sense. No way. I'm calling bullshit. M. Night Shyamalan, we know, takes over his movies. No way, man.
Well,
have you seen an M. Night Shyamalan movie? He has full control of those.
A producer doesn't always have a lot of influence. Now, if you look back at any film that had Jerry Bruckheimer as a producer, all looks the same. So Jerry Bruckheimer has a lot of influence over direction of a film that he's doing. But then there's other films, you're not going to tell Spielberg what to do. So I think Kathleen Kennedy had different variations of power depending on where she was at in her career and also the situation. She had a lot more throw over the Star Wars stuff than she did over the Jurassic Park trilogy.
That's the point I was going to bring up later on for the Star Wars stuff, because it kind of goes against what a lot of people are saying on Twitter. But we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm going to hold that thought. Signs, Biscuit.
Sorry, one thing to add in there, producer isn't necessarily supposed to make any changes in the actual thing. It's really just financing. A lot of the times it's securing financing for this, making sure that everything is kind of running smoothly. And apparently she was great at that. So hell yeah.
But does that mean she gets credit on all these movies as far as how good they came out though?
Well, she's part of the system.
Kevin
Smith, he's got his buddy Scott Mosier who helped him and produced all of his original films. He's saying he couldn't have made those without him. He really did make it so that he just got to focus on the actual art. I think it's probably along those lines. There's a reason why Spielberg kept going back to her. She kept getting the job done, and he says that she's the best. So I don't know, man. I don't think it's anything to scoff at.
I think it's when you mention producer, it's how much influence of producing did she have to the point where these all turned out the way they did? If she wasn't there, would those still have been as good? It's that
she's
kind of thing.
Acting as a block and making sure Spielberg has everything he needs, then his true vision comes out. That she should get a lot of credit for that. If she was bigger than the director, in some of the stuff later in her career, maybe she started throwing around a little bit more when it came to creative wise. But if she's helping Spielberg get that there, and she's also keeping people the big money guys off his back and let him create, then she should get a huge amount of credit for that.
That's what I wanted to tie the other point to. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to tie your point into earlier, is that, okay, so if we use the logic that she produced a lot of these and they turn out the way they did because of her, then that means that when she was the president of Lucasfilm, we should be able to extend that line of logic here too, because that's all on her then. If she was the president, she went from being a producer to all these projects to a president, which has way more power to impact how the project will look. That's the thing too, So it's okay, she did all those great things. Fine too.
The other thing that you're not giving her credit for is she was also George Lucas's producer, and he is the one who handpicked her as the replacement. He said, "I trust her to take on the legacy of this,"
and then she,
which means a lot, man. Yes, very much so. She took his treatment that he had for the next sequel trilogy and just, completely threw it down the disposal or shredder, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of that was used. She just went her own route and
But
gave
I want to
J.J.
bring that up
Abrams
then,
kind of carte
from what you
blanche
said.
as well.
I want to bring that up from what you said. Him handpicking her, I do know about that. I saw the interview that he had. People have to understand when it comes to like figures like Steven Spielberg or George Lucas, they can make bad decisions. Not everything they think, not everything they do as far as a decision can be the best thing, because as we've seen now, she wasn't the best pick for Star Wars, given what has happened.
Yeah.
Not even close. I think it's because when people work with someone so closely, they genuinely think they're very good at various things. Like, she might have been a great producer on something, but being a president is an entirely different thing than just being a side piece to a much more greater personality. You know, it's a much more different field there too.
And that's a good
know
point.
if that's
Well,
I don't know if side piece to a greater personality is the best explanation of it. But
my God.
moving on, I'm sure Warren has something intelligent to say.
Okay.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
if you notice, like she took over Lucasfilm, and when she did that over, like you said, that's a different role. And I think what happens is before she's part of a cog of a system, so she's part of the process. And then she becomes in charge of the process by taking over Lucasfilm, and then now you see all of a sudden, why is it that all of the stuff from Force Awakens down is massively different in quality than the stuff from Force Awakens up?
That's what I was going to bring up.
I think that's because now she has more control. So now you get to see her saying, well, I really like the way you managed George, but now it's my store and I'm going to change what we're doing, and I'm going to move the way I want to, and I have my ideas that weren't listened to, and now she has that more reins. And I think that's, you notice, I think the big change of quality is from when she gets that control. Now she's not being kept in check, and now she gets to do.
That's what I was going to bring up to your point, which is, I mean, at this point, is a double-edged sword. I will fully agree with that. It feels like she kind of was a key in the cog to something rather than the actual star of it. So, like, when, you know, there's a star player on a good sports team, and when that player leaves, that franchise just basically sucks without them. So, like, that's what I'm trying to bring up. It's like, okay, if she now is a chance to be the star player, well, all of this is hers. Every single one of that is hers. She's the star player of that. But then she gets to be but then she gets all the credit for all of these when there was much more talented people there, you know?
No, she's either a producer or executive producer on it. Nobody's giving her director credit. Like, you know, most of it's going to Spielberg, most of it's going to Lucas, but she did her part in those enough that she kept getting hired back because they said that she was the best at that. But as Warren keeps mentioning, you know, that doesn't mean that just because you're good at procuring like funding.
I said that first, you liar! I
tune out when you talk. It's just a matter of principle. But what I'm saying is, like, it doesn't necessarily translate. And you know, everyone's talking about either Filoni or Favreau as kind of the next one that they want. I don't know, man. That sounds like a really bad choice to me. Just because these dudes are really good at, just because Favreau is really good at directing and he has creative vision doesn't mean he's going to be good at running the studio.
Yeah,
that's going to be Feige.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I think it's Feige myself. I think Feige's going to be taking out of Marvel, and they're going to move it. This is just me guessing, right? This is me playing fantasy football. Feige, the Lucasfilm, Russo brothers take over MCU. I think they're going to try to pull what DC did with James Gunn, and they're going to have the Russo brothers, probably arguably the most successful directors in the MCU first run. I think they'll have them take it over creatively, control, and then let Feige go to Lucasfilm. But that's just me guessing.
Good Lord. Yeah, I would say the same thing is, you know, maybe getting someone that people have not heard of is a good idea. But that's the thing is, as we mentioned before, her resume is very big, but I think there's a lot of nuance that needs to be applied to this resume as far as like, oh, well, she was just there, so that automatically means that she was the reason why it came out true. It's like, oh my fucking God, you people have little brains. Not you guys, but good Lord, you people on Twitter are fucking beyond retarded.
Could you imagine taking on that job? Like, you're just going to be getting hate no matter what. Like, if it's not up to snuff, if you're just going the same way that it's been going, my God, it's just going to be endless hate.
I wouldn't want it.
I think either Favreau or Filoni would be an idiot. They'd be an MSK if they wanted to.
Wait a minute.
Continue
we're not forgetting.
If they want that promotion, not only would they be taking a pay cut, because apparently Favreau makes so much more as like a hired gun filmmaker, but man, you'd be taking that pay cut and then all that hate. Like, you know, he made the live action Lion King. I don't hear anybody coming after him and being like, this is so stupid, this is horrible, where nobody seems to like that movie. Or was it Jungle Book? I think he did both of them. Now I'm tripping. But
he did Lion King.
Either way.
No, the black guy.
He
the
didn't
black
do
guy who did Lion King. Jungle Fever, you're right. Jungle Book was his.
Okay. But anyway, they're not that great of movies, but I don't see people just going after him like he has ruined the Lion King or anything like that.
Stop it. You're doing that thing where people go, but what about this guy? We're talking about her, you bastard. You're doing that
he
thing
is
again.
One of the names that's being thrown around is people want him to replace her. I don't think there's any shot at hell.
I don't agree with you, but it's like
there's no upside for it.
No,
there's no upside for him to do that. I mean, unless they're going to give him 100% control, and Disney's not going to do that. I mean, you're essentially walking to a job where you're going to be handcuffed right off the bat, blindfolded, and then told to make a miracle out of a dumpster fire that no one has any faith in. So it's like, even if they were perfect, they're going to still probably fail for the first 3 or 4 movies. You know.
And before we go over Kathleen Kennedy's mixed legacy, well, I wouldn't say mixed, I think it's pretty much all bad, but this is the thing, is people have said that she's become a lightning rod for criticism, but that's the thing. That's the position that you get. In the NFL, I forgot the commissioner's name. Fucking hell, I'm blanking on it right now. Or the NBA commissioner, I'm forgetting their names. Whenever the NBA and NFL suck, the commissioners get all the blame. That is the purpose of the job. You are supposed to be a lightning rod. That is literally what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to tank criticism. You're also supposed to tank the praise you get. You know, that's just literally what the job is. Now, we're at the point where let's just hypothetically say that we were all wrong with these, right? You know, let's hypothetically say we were all wrong and maybe she is staying. It doesn't matter if she's staying or if she's leaving. Damage is already done, like you guys said earlier in the video. Because if she's gone, like I said before, who replaces her? That person just might even be worse than her, which is saying something. That would be actually bad. It was actually terrible, you know? But the other thing to bring up is you keep her, it's not getting better. You kind of just at a lose-lose. But I agree with you guys. You might as well flip a coin, try someone else new. I'd rather try someone new, see how that goes, and just keep on the same death spiral it's currently in right now. So right now, this isn't a death spiral. People saw the Skeleton Crew ratings, this trash. Not saying the show. People are just not interested in watching it currently. Must be a reason for that.
I think the only way you save Star Wars is you bring in somebody new and that creates buzz, and then you let them retcon everything. Like, stop everything you're doing. We're going to start over again, and we're going to just essentially do what the DCU did, where it's like, well, we're going to release the films that we got going right now, but then we're going to retcon everything.
I agree.
In order to get the faith back, you need a new restaurant name, you need a new menu, you need a new paint job. You just can't bring in a new manager and then expect them to turn the dumpster fire into gourmet again. So I think you need to do a complete entire reset of the whole Star Wars universe right now.
Oh, that would be so hilarious. Just the first shot is just Luke like waking up from a nightmare. Like,
that would be great. Yeah.
That would be gret.
No, I do agree that you should take a break. The reason why I was bringing up the whole point is because, you know, there's different, I would say, criteria, and there's different ways people talk about other people compared to like other people. That's why I was bringing up the Kathleen Kennedy, Jon Favreau example, because like it's not exactly a one-on-one comparison. Like, I would compare Kathleen Kennedy to someone like, you said, Kevin Feige. That's a comparison. Or if like, well, if he does good things, he gets praised. When he does bad things, he gets shitted on. Well, it's like, it's pretty much the same. Jon Favreau is a weird one because he's not exactly a president of anything. You know?
Yeah.
It would be like the previous president of DC, Jeff Johns, was the president of DC. Well, yeah, he should get all the blame for all that because he wanted the universe to look like that initially, from the Jeff Johns, the Zack Snyder storyboards and all that shit. Like John Lasseter got all the praise for Pixar. Well, you know, when Pixar's gone, well, it kind of sucks now. But let's dive into some of this history, guys. Kathleen Kennedy leaves Lucasfilm with a mixed legacy, but that isn't entirely her fault. Who fucking fault is it then?
We've been over this. She didn't decide to make the parks all that way.
It's your fault.
She didn't decide to make Disney Plus the focus. That has to come from up high. I agree. It's not all her fault. She has to take the majority of the blame. She's the one who signed off on the projects.
Yeah. No. I didn't blame her for the parks. I do think that's not her thing. The parks can't. in any way be shaped by her ideas. No way. Not even
Oh
close.
no. She's in charge of like
Film and
doing
TV.
massive reshoots of Rise of Skywalker due to what focus groups and malls said, so that way the movie now looks like a jigsaw puzzle. That's on her. She's not in
Yeah.
charge of like
How the
Disney
park
Plus
would look.
focus or the park
Yeah.
looks, or I don't even think she's in charge of the stupid, we're going to do a 20-minute episode and then a 15-minute episode, and then we're going to do a 30-minute one. I don't even think she's in charge of that. I think it's just more along the lines of production, like production creative decisions is where I think more of her blame falls on. But with the other stuff, no, she had nothing to do with Disney Plus. That was probably something that she got emailed to her, you know.
Sorry about that. I wanted to message my wife.
No, you had to write coffee and waste of money in the chat. No, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was messaging my wife, but no, all jokes aside, I think it's one of these things now where it's like, we'll just see where it goes, honestly, with Kathleen Kennedy. But she's in, from what I know about her job description, it's film and TV and animation as far as that. So parts
sure.
doesn't matter.
I'm just putting it out there that, it seemed like a mandate from up high that, hey, theaters are dead now after the whole time that we can't talk about. So instead, we're putting all of our focus into the #1 streaming platform ever. It's going to catch fire. It's going to have Marvel. It's going to have Star Wars. Everything's going directly to there.
Yeah.
Well, let's start digging into her legacy. And people said, MSK, would you have sex with Kathleen Kennedy? Guys, I have no standards. I had sex with anything but a black woman, honestly. So bring it on, bitch. I love older women. And hopefully she shaves her fucking hairy ass stank coochie that she has. She probably doesn't wash at all. She's too busy stanking up Star Wars. But nevertheless, Kathleen Kennedy is reportedly retiring at the end of the year as she leaves behind her a mixed legacy for Lucasfilm and Star Wars. Star Wars fans awoke today to a great disturbance in the Force. Reports that Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy is retiring at the end of the year. George Lucas' chosen successor, Kennedy, had served as something of a lightning rod for criticism of the Disney era. Now, I want to keep in mind here, this guy had a lot of really great ideas himself, a lot of really shitty ones. Those prequel movies are not, outside of episode 3, I like episode 3. Episode 1 and 2 are just not good. This guy literally is a emotionally stable weirdo, honestly. I couldn't imagine this guy making good decisions in a lot of other ways. He made a lot of bad decisions. Remember, he got full creative control.
You're also missing some of his other misses. You're forgetting about the holiday special. You're missing the 2 Ewoks movies.
Not remember that. I was not.
They're
at all.
easy to forget.
I'm saying people have really, really talked badly about George Lucas's overall decision making for a long time. She'd found herself frequently targeted by online campaigns, YouTubers, and even South Park. Oh yeah, you mean this guy right there? South Park?
What?
That guy? You mean make it lame and gay? I want to say this though. Targeted is kind of a gay way of basically, hey, I'm just criticizing her. I'm not wishing her death. I'm not sending her death threats. I just don't like the fucking way the franchise is going. So I wouldn't really call that targeted hate. That sounds kind of gay in my opinion. Oh my God, they criticized an executive. Oh, fuck off.
It's also kind of her fault because she put herself out there constantly in interviews. The Force is female, all that woke warrior bullshit. And it's like you put yourself out there and then you isolate an entire fan base with what you said and your director said. So yeah, you're going to get some hate online when it all just turns to shit. I mean, you put yourself out there as the figurehead. That's what happens.
Forces, like there's things that she literally did to fan the flames, as it's not some innocent fucking person. Keep in mind, this is the same bitch talking about that she loves women. How she treated Patty Jenkins like shit. She literally treated Patty Jenkins like straight up shit. Had her leave Warner Brothers to do a Rogue Squadron.
I mean, so did Marvel though.
Marvel, Patty Jenkins. Yeah, the whole Thor situation. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But she had her come over to Disney to do Rogue Squadron, and then we found out through a twit longer that she isn't getting the movie. But what the fuck did she come over for?
And her movie sounded badass too. It was like a World War II fighter jet movie.
I'm just saying it right now. Patty Jenkins, I like older. Man, she's looking pretty fire, honestly. But nevertheless, all that makes it rather difficult to establish Kennedy's true legacy. Has her tenure been a successful one? Is she some kind of woke warrior? That's what Warren said. Responsible for pushing a political agenda at Lucasfilm, the force is female. She said she wanted to hire more women than dudes. Just point it out there. These are her words, not mine. The truth is probably rather more complex than her detractors on those aforementioned YouTube channels think. We know who they're talking about. Like, just say names, you punk ass bitch. You fucking loser. Oh my God. Someone criticized a woman. Oh no. The world must be ending. Shut up. You fucking loser.
They
You
didn't
fucking
like Mary
beta cuck
Sue
bitch.
Skywalker.
Yeah, you fucking cuck. I bet you love it when your fucking wife sits there and gets railed by a 6 feet tall, big BBC black dude. You fucking loser. Oh my God, woman got criticized. I must defend her. Shut up. Fucking losers, man. Kathleen Kennedy wasn't Disney's choice. She was Lucas's. He brought her into the role shortly before selling Lucasfilm to Disney and attempt to control his legacy, as Disney CEO Bob Iger recalled in his autobiography, The Ride of a Lifetime. And good Lord, here's just a giant ass quote. A few months before we closed the deal, George hired the producer Kathleen Kennedy to run Lucasfilm. Kathy had co-founded Amblin Entertainment along with her husband Frank Marshall and Steven Spielberg, and had produced E.T. and the Jurassic Park franchise and dozens of critical and commercial hits. It was an interesting move on George's part. We were on the verge of buying the company, but he suddenly decided who was going to run it and ultimately produce the upcoming films. It didn't upset us, but it did come as a surprise, just as it surprised Kathy to learn that the company she was agreeing to run was about to be sold. Kathy is a legendary producer, and she has been a great partner, and this was one final way for George to put someone in whom he trusted to be the steward of his legacy. Oh, good old Bob Iger, always sucking off women.
She set it on fire.
Oh, fuck, man. Good Lord. But Kennedy faced an unbelievable challenge, one that we tend to underestimate. As Iger noted, Lucas had many talented employees, particularly on the tech side, but no directors other than George and no film development or production pipeline. Yeah, because you literally just bought it. He just wanted to sell it to you. He didn't give a fuck what you did, honestly. Kennedy essentially had to build a studio from the ground up, which likely explains the many Star Wars movies and TV shows that were canceled due to creative differences. Okay, so a president doing presidential shit, building stuff up. That's what. Whatever.
The creative differences right there is essentially code.
Had nothing with her creating the building or whatever she was doing for Lucasfilm. People left because of creative differences.
Creative differences is telling Patty Jenkins you can't make the movie that she wants to make, and then she leaves. Or telling the guys that was doing the solo movie, hey, we want you to change this, and then they leave. That's what creative differences is tell them, it's like, hey, make this character gay. And they're like, no, I don't want to. And then they're like, okay, and then leave.
You know, Kathleen Kennedy loves females so much. She loves gay people. I mean, keep in mind, this wasn't her fault. I won't blame her. She casted all these women, all these marginalized people. Then Disney canceled The Acolyte. I thought Disney loved LGBTQ people and black people. That's what they told us. They love them. But you just made a bunch of them unemployed.
They do love them, but they don't like spending $200 million and not making any of it back.
That wasn't Kathleen Kennedy. That was her and who's her name? Leslie Headland that was running the show. Yeah, they hired the marginalized people. Disney just said, fuck them, because Disney doesn't give a fuck about morals, people. They're just telling you what you want to hear. Like what all these guys are going to do. Those first 2 years were no doubt very difficult. Disney needed to recoup costs, leading to an ambitious push to release 3 movies by the end of 2018. That's what Grace said earlier in the video.
Certainly pushed them out.
Surely they did. Kennedy more than pulled it off, I guess not quality-wise, but the accounts of behind-the-scenes drama on Rogue One and Solo are legendary. The studio moved away from the big screen from 2019 and seemed to have learned some important lessons. The Mandalorian and Grogu were released next year, and production there appears to have been smooth. Oh, okay. 1 out of 7 is not really a good record, but sure.
Well, it's smooth now because Dave Filoni is running Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy is probably getting ready to retire. So she's not interfering with anything anymore. So it's probably going a lot smoother now because Favreau is just allowed to direct.
I was gonna say Favreau needs to get a whole bunch of credit for that too. Like that dude can roll with the punches. It's what he did on Marvel. Like Iron Man, supposedly they were like having actual meetings like the day of shooting, coming up with dialogue and everything. He is used to making some really amazing things with very little prep and kind of coming up with something amazing and artistic on the spot. And just, man, there's some episodes of Mandalorian that just go so hard. Yeah, that dude deserves a lot of credit. So I'm not surprised that his, movie, we're currently not hearing any sort of issues like they had with the Lego guys or Gareth. Now I'm forgetting his name for Rogue One, but still, for as many problems as Rogue One had, it's a really watchable film. And then for it to spin off to Andor, just, man, so amazing.
Gareth Edwards, he directed that Godzilla movie in 2014. He has a decent little resume to himself. It was crazy. That one came out pretty good. Rogue One, stuff. I've already alluded to the fact that Kennedy often found herself operating under constraints imposed by Disney. Okay, let's just use the argument you guys are using. So does every other president. Kevin Feige, Jeff Johns, guy who's running Paramount. This is literally just not just a her thing that exists for presidents of companies. Okay, so I want to make sure I point that out. The person that was originally running Netflix had problems here and there. The House of Mouse had spent $4.5 billion acquiring Lucasfilm, which we know now they still have not recouped the money back from. That was reported by one of their trades.
They got $2 billion off of that first one. It looked like they were on track.
And then, you know what Mickey Mouse said? This is trending in the right direction as we lose money with each one. There was a meme that I saw. Hey, this is trending in the right direction. Oh, fuck, that killed me. I actually laughed out like, holy fuck.
What's crazy is that if you told me that someone was going to purchase Lucasfilm for $4.5 billion, I'd be like, yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to make that back in the first 3 years. But because of just how popular Star Wars was, especially at that time period. But they fucked it up so bad. It's like you guys took a $10-20 billion investment, or what could have been
lucrative toy line.
Huge
toy line was making so much money,
printing money, and they just ran it down into the dirt. Where even when they have a good show, no one watches it. It's amazing. Like they should study this shit in film school.
I think they have to, right? Yeah. Like, it's just crazy. But like that first one, it's not great, but it is the highest grossing film, like I believe, still of all time.
I know with The Force Awakens, right? To be fair, I will.
Yeah, Force Awakens.
That requires some nuance.
Wasn't the greatest film. It felt very much like a retread. It was very similar ground. Yeah, but man, the fans were starving for something, and they ate it up. Even with the weirdness and the whole getting rid of legacy characters thing. Man, just why couldn't they have a plan?
Yeah, that's what I was going to add to your point, which is that's the only reason why that movie made that much money. It was because it was good. That movie is pretty bad in a lot of areas. There hadn't been a Star Wars movie in like fucking almost 10, 15 years. They were going to watch it regardless. That was going to make that money regardless, given how long there had been a gap between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens. It was guaranteed money,
And so it was a safe film. It was a safe, fun film. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but now, in hindsight, it was one of the better ones that they've put out.
They did kill off Han Solo, but it's okay. And there needed to be a return on that investment. In 2018, there have been reports Kennedy petitioned Disney to push back Solo to December, believing the movie wasn't ready. That one I'll put on Bob Iger, because he had said in that same book, from that same interview up there, he wanted to release the movies because he liked seeing how big the numbers were at the box office. Okay, I will give her maybe Solo she wanted to push back. And as people say, she was overruled, and Solo became Star Wars' first box office flop. Yeah, that's still the lowest grossing Star Wars film. Crazy, right? Not particularly a terrible movie, but it's just someone needed. I like some things in it. Yeah, it's like Brave New World. It's not terribly bad, but it's not good either. It's just really meh,
Yeah. It's just weird. Like, I don't know, for all these amazing things, like the dice, like his actual name, like the Kessel Run, all these things that you could have actually done and actually made something amazing. Just, man, they fumbled on every single thing. And I don't know if that's from the Lord. I really should look up the dude's name. I don't know if it's from the Lego guys or from, Ron Howard, but either way, it sucks. Whatever came together just seems like you're undercutting all these legacies, these things that have been set up, and just, man, it it ended up not being a great film, even though it's kind of an okay adventure like side quest movie. But man, just shitting on the legacy, it just, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. I don't ever really want to see Solo again.
Overshadowed by Infinity War and poorly marketed because Disney thought the franchise couldn't fail. First of all, Solo was not poorly marketed. Solo had great marketing. Everyone knew it was coming out. They just didn't watch it because The Last Jedi, the movie before it, made people literally want to commit suicide in Minecraft, allegedly said by a guy named MSK on his YouTube channel. They made people want to get close to a bridge and jump off. That's the reason. It's part of the reason why Solo flopped. Also, no one wanted a Solo fucking prequel movie. No one wanted that. Stop making shit people don't want. Stop listening to random
weirdos. It could be cool,
on Twitter.
Man. I love me some Lando. I love me some Han Solo. And hey, throw in like him meeting Chewie. This could be cool, but the way that it all came together was not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fast forward to Disney Investor Day 2020. Remember that? Ton of announced things that never came out. And Lucasfilm announced an overly ambitious slate of movies and TV shows to come out over the next few years. This announcement should have been prophetic, but it is remembered mostly because of so much that did not happen. But again, this wasn't Kennedy's fault. Iger's replacement, Bob Chapek, is believed to have pushed Lucasfilm to make premature announcements. Okay, that could be Hitter, that could be both of them. Chapek wanted to push Disney Plus, but that was Bob Iger too. Before Bob Iger left, he wanted to push out Disney Plus. That's
I'm just saying, think of the Marvel releases that were also all announced. It seems like it was Disney's push to announce these things, get some hype going.
At least most of those came out. At least, more of those came out than Star Wars ones.
Blade?
I see your point. Yeah. No, Blade was 2019 Comic-Con, remember? Investor Day, they announced Fantastic Four, which was directed by John Watts, the Spider-Man guy, but later on it was someone else. It was Fantastic Four, Loki, Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, and fucking hell. They announced War Machine, that movie, Armor Wars, and they announced another one that got canceled, the Okoye series. So all that stuff ended up getting scrapped, just like my sex life with my female love interest. Even the push to make Star Wars TV shows came from a corporate mandate. Disney Plus was a priority for the House of Mouse, and every Disney studio was expected to prioritize making original content that would ensure the streamer was a success. But that's not a bad idea, though. I would understand why they would want that. I would agree with that. You need to make original shit that people want to go and see. That's the attraction of a streaming service. It's like, okay, you have your legacy movies and TV shows, but if you need to have something that's yours, that's what attracts the average person. Okay, well, Disney has the Star Wars content that's original that we haven't seen. I don't necessarily disagree with that. They made them do that. It's a fine idea.
I just think it was a horrible plan, and I don't think she is to blame for that plan. But you know, like they even had like the Mulan remake, and
oh god,
there were like two of them that had to be. There's two of them that had to be dropped directly on Disney Plus because of the time or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. I think they should have looked at that and been like, oh yeah, like Netflix still isn't profitable. How are we thinking that we're going to bring this up in like a year, 2 years? I don't know. I guess they wanted to shift because theaters were down, but I don't know, man. I think the choice of Disney Plus was
because remember around that time there was a streamer wars. Remember HBO Max had just came out. Apple TV Plus had launched. Around that time period, there was a lot of like streamer war bullshit things. Paramount Plus came out
theaters,
about a year later.
They thought they were going the way of the dodo, man. Like they thought theaters were just going.
Yeah. No, it's
they should have kept it smaller in scope. Like if you're gonna do a bunch of Star Wars series and then do some big movies, you need to like really lower the scope down, get the budget in order, and have a plan before you go into it. Because when you rush is when you have massive reshoots, changing directors, all this stuff, and all that does is just add more money and time onto it to where the series
production
blows up.
Got actually massively so huge for these streaming services. Like you're spending almost basically movie budget money on a streaming service.
Yeah, like
the Acolyte did
the Halo one. It had so many reshoots.
Yeah,
and it was like $200 million when it was all done, and it was garbage.
That like sucks.
Yeah, they.
I watched season 1. I wanted to hang myself. That season one was so bad, I faked myself beating off in that clip everyone keeps saying. It was that bad, my brain fried.
Sure, you faked it. We believe you.
You know, you could lower the scope of this stuff. Like Obi-Wan could have been just a film about Obi-Wan running from Vader.
It was originally a film. It was originally a film.
Like
after
Vader
Full
gets
Bond, they wanted it to be a show.
You could
After-
film the whole thing on one ship that Obi-Wan's trying to lead Vader away from where Luke is, and you could do the whole series about them two, and you could keep it in one nice set and do a lot less money. Instead, you've got to try to build up other series. You got to add in all these extra characters. You got to try to do all this bullshit, and then it gets overinflated. It doesn't come out very good, and then you spend a bunch of money, and people are like, "What did you spend $200 million on? You know, what's going on here? Why is it that Peacemaker is for like less than 100 million? A good series. It looks great. It works in the series. It works in the world, and it works for the service. But yet, you guys are trying to make these blockbusters. They're all over the place timing wise. None of the characters get any kind of cooking time, and it just seems like a big waste of money. The whole thing was just terribly mismanaged all the way through. And maybe that's not all her fault because she's being pushed. She was being like sped up. It's like she had too many things going on and was being forced to get all this stuff done.
Women aren't good at their job.
Oh, don't even do no.
Oh, dang it.
All the
Mandalorian. Kennedy greenlit The Mandalorian, a prudent choice, and reverse engineered several film pitches, turning them into shows. And the reason why I mentioned the Obi-Wan thing when Warren was going off is because I think there was reports out there that said she had felt like after Solo bombed that people weren't interested in watching Star Wars movies related around one character. And it's like, people just didn't want to see a Solo movie that's a prequel. That's the thing. Some characters can hold their own.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I don't know. I've just been calling them the Lego guys. But yeah, those dudes. They're the ones who were originally doing Solo and got left halfway through it. I'd have to think that Solo movie would have been pretty decent. I haven't seen anything horrible from those guys, but maybe there's a chance.
Disney's corporate mandates make it very hard to say for certain what Kennedy's legacy really is. Yeah, because then by that logic, then someone else could have gave her the idea for The Mandalorian, or an executive, but who knows, right? How many of those mistakes were her fault? But it doesn't absolve her of overall responsibility for the state of the franchise. I agree. But that is what it seems to be the boss. Most importantly, the cultural issues at Lucasfilm, issues that led to so many cases of creative conflict, were recurring. Lucasfilm allowed Phil Lord and Chris Miller far too much independence during production of Solo, for example, stepping in and firing them far too late in the day when Kennedy lost confidence in them. Okay. So I guess she just takes the fall for that. It's good Lord. Good job, Kathleen. You fucking.
But then you've got other things that are objectively worse, like The Acolyte. It's so there's some very things in there. There's some firsts that we got in there, but man, if you're gonna get on Phil Lord and Chris Miller for dropping the ball, like, come on, like, are you not going to get on Leslie Headland's back and say, hey, this thing is all hinging on this mystery, and it doesn't pay off, it doesn't make sense. Man, it retroactively ruins anything good that the series did.
No, you're right.
You'd think that she would have stepped in on that, seeing as how it's the most expensive show.
No, I wanted to ask you, do you remember, did she hire Leslie Headland to produce the show? I'm pretty sure she did.
I'm pretty sure she did as well. I know she is the one who gives the offers. From everything that I've heard with Ryan Johnson, like, she literally had a meeting with him. He never like pitched to her or anything like that. She just called for a meeting and is like, okay, I want to give you a TLJ. So from what I understand, she just kind of calls meetings with people and just offers them things. I think that's what happened with the D&D from Game of Thrones. I think that's what happened with Phil Lord and Chris Miller. From what I understand, she basically just like gets a meeting with these people and then, just kind of randomly gives them this project. And I think her move is to be hands off. I think that was kind of what she did as a producer. It was securing funding for it and making sure that everything has a timeline and is good to go.
Basically,
it sounds like that's a lot of what she was doing here.
Oh, God. And that, unfortunately, brings me to The Acolyte. Leslie Headland's High Republic TV show appeared to be seen as something of a reset point for Star Wars. Jesus Christ. No one thought that. That's just you people thought that. Who watched that trailer and went, yeah, this is going to be good? I watched the trailer and I went, that looks bad.
I originally thought this was going to be like so far in the past that it wasn't going to
It
really
is.
connect.
That's what it was pitched
But
Yeah.
as.
instead they made it like they essentially made it just like just before Palpatine comes into the scene era. Like so it's like, which is another stupid choice. It's like, what if you have an entire thousands
the
of
High
years
Republic.
of lore to do stuff in where you don't have to worry about any lore Nazis going nuts? Then why are you trying to retcon the original trilogy?
Oh,
with,
yeah,
with
that
all
stuff.
this
I remember that
bullshit.
stuff.
Like,
Yep.
why is it
Well,
that
especially
like, yeah, go ahead.
just seeing the Jedi at their height, like when they were the most powerful, like my God, that sounds awesome to me. And then
Yeah.
what we were promised is not what we got. It was supposed to be taking a look at the Sith from somebody who's being an acolyte to the Sith. They're actually being recruited into this. That sounds like an awesome show to me, but that's not what we got. Instead, we got everything that hinged on this mystery, and the payoff on it was really horrible. It
Yeah.
didn't make any sense. But there's potential there. And then you're bringing in certain elements like, okay, so we've never seen the High Republic before. We've never seen like a kyber crystal bleed. There's a bunch of different things that got brought into this. Also, a bunch of the characters we had never seen. Now I'm forgetting the element, but the helmet of the dude. Now I'm totally blanking on the substance, but
the
shorting out
kyber
sabers and
crystal,
stuff.
yeah, the kyber crystal repellent stuff, yeah.
A bunch
Which
of
was
this stuff
cool.
is cool, and it could have been done well. And this is the first time that we're seeing it now in canon since they got rid of all the extended stuff. But man, just what we end up with is not great. And for
Yeah.
that price, you would have hoped that you would have stepped in at some point. But no, apparently just the Lego guys get the step in, not Leslie.
Well, I think that's where the culture part comes in that they were mentioned earlier in the article. I think she picks Leslie Headland, and Leslie Headland is doing exactly what she wants when it comes to the political agenda stuff along those lines. I think the other guys are just making a solo movie.
I think
And
she's
then
essentially
when she
fixing
comes
it.
in, she's like, okay, well, this is not fitting our agenda. I've already heard that she has like a team of 20 writers that are involved with all of the projects.
Oh,
She
Lord.
probably heard about that, and then that's why she shit cans them. With Leslie Headland, it's like, I trust Leslie. We're on the same page. She knows what I want. Make it gay, make it female. Let's do this shit. And then, so they just let her go, and then they put the film out or the series out. And when it tanks, they just blame us.
And granted, Leslie Headland knew her shit. Like, she knew about cortosis. I couldn't think of the name of the element, but that stuff. Like, she knew how to reference this. She knew of Vernestra. Is it Rowe? I forget what the character's name is. But, like, she knew of all these things, and she's deciding to bring them in. Just the execution of it is horrible. I don't know.
Yeah, you
Introducing viewers.
rewind it 100 more years and disconnect it from the original, the prequel trilogy, and I think you have a much more successful series. I think when
You
you're
really
trying
could
to
be.
swim in that much canon, you should just separate yourself and give us something in between that can do good, but we don't have to worry about Jedi Council members showing up and knowing
Mhm.
about the Acolyte and a possible Sith user. We don't have to bring in Yoda, and where he's already apparently a master. And then, like, why in the hell did he feel like 15 Jedis being killed? There's a lot of stuff going on in this thing where it's just like you're tap dancing on a minefield, getting that close to canon. Just back up, go back, and just separate so much, and you can do your own thing. Create new canon.
It's not exactly what you're saying, but Skeleton Crew kind of did that. It feels like it's very disconnected. There is kind of one through line that does kind of connect it to everything else, but I don't hate that. It does seem like it's its own world. If it never goes back to this thing, cool. It was a decent one-off thing, and if you hated it, cool. It doesn't really affect everything else. It would have been really nice if it was that, but no, bringing in Yoda at the end, that just nail in the coffin.
It's like that cheap fan servicey thing. It's like, oh, hey, you like that guy? Good fucking God.
Well, they should. I would just
viewers,
fast forward everything too.
Introducing viewers to an ongoing adventure set in a whole new part of the timeline. It didn't pay off, instead resulting in a fierce online backlash, a review bombing campaign, and disappointing viewership. Good Lord, all the fucking God, Jesus Christ. The Acolyte was canceled, the first Star Wars TV show to officially meet that fate. It left an already divided fan base shattered and exhausted. Skeleton Crew has helped. I don't know what the fuck that word is. Like I don't know what the fuck these words are these days.
Ameliorate, dude. You have brought Great Dinosaur to this channel.
Okay, I love I'm joking, guys. Entertainment. But Skeleton Crew has helped, but Kennedy nonetheless leaves under a fresh cloud. Good Lord. So this is the thing here. Is the reason why Leslie Headland, guys, got a chance to do what she wanted was because Kathleen Kennedy literally said, fucking Force is female. She likes hiring women more than dudes. She wasn't going to interfere with anything. She literally is just sexist towards dudes. Why would she fire dudes? Because they did what they want. Leslie Headland got a chance to do what she wanted, and that show got canceled. I could think of any other reason why, but who knows? I'm a genius.
Should we take a look at your show? It seems like, you've got something against chicks or something for dudes. It seems like, there's nothing but dudes on your show. Should we look into that?
There's some nuance and context there. Men treat me better. I love men, and men are awesome to talk to more than women. See, 3 bangers.
Plus, you've retired from women.
I've retired from women. That's true. Was Kennedy successful as a president of Lucasfilm? As if a lot of people know. And, I would say it's mostly 90-10. I'll give you that. That's a percentage range. She certainly wasn't a failure. That's debatably too. The sequel trilogy grossed over $4 billion worldwide after all, and The Mandalorian was the flagship show of Disney+. Okay, they're doing this thing as far as like, okay, yes, the movies made money. They were going to make money regardless of the Star Wars. This is a thing that people do in arguments where, well, that movie made a lot of money, so it must have been good. It's like, no, those movies are all bad. They stink. Force Awakens stinks, Last Jedi stinks ass, and Rise of Skywalker, holy living mother of God, that movie's ass. Like, yeah, they were going to make good Lord, some stuff is going to make money regardless because of how big certain things are. That's make the quality of those movies good. Do you know someone in your life that thinks those 3 movies are good? I've never met a person that actually genuinely likes those movies, ever.
Not all 3 of them.
People do like The Mandalorian.
I mostly hear people saying the first one's okay, the last one was all right, and the second one was bad. Some people love the second one, though. Some people love the second one. I don't
like. The second one's grown on me. I'm not going to say it's a great Star Wars film. It is far from that. It's an okay movie. If you could divorce it from that, I wouldn't hate it as much. But man, to follow up that first one with that, it just. And then to go back to that same plan in the third one is just it is the worst, most broken trilogy ever.
Yeah, I'll just bring up The Mandalorian. People liked it first 2 seasons. They loved the whole Baby Yoda thing. So that's something that was a success for them. It is getting a movie because the quality of it was good enough for a lot of people to actually justify watching it. That isn't the same for The Acolyte because a lot of this stuff, just wasn't that good of retention time. I hope they bring up Boba Fett. That was bad. Boba Fett is bad. The way they treated the main actor, where they basically made him cameo in his own show. First 3 episodes on Power Ranger motorcycle bikes, even more or less ghetto than that.
Okay, but Boba Fett got to ride a Rancor, so what are you complaining about? I
hate you. Fuck off. A franchise with such cultural significance that will usher Star Wars back into theaters. Good Lord. You believe that if you want, buddy. But she also wasn't an untrampled success. And there were so many mistakes and missteps. So she had a golden egg of a franchise, and you said she kind of squandered it. Whatever. I don't think it's a coincidence that reports of Kennedy's departure have leaked so soon after the Andor Season 2 trailer. The first season of Tony Gilroy's dark, cerebral Star Wars TV show was undeniably one of the highlights of the Kennedy era. Popular and critically acclaimed. Viewership was low, but it has been sustained over the years. Season 2 already felt like a line drawn under the past. The final show from that fateful Disney Investor Day back in 2020, leaving the future in motion. This year's Star Wars celebration feels like something of a reset moment, an opportunity to relaunch the franchise ahead of The Mandalorian and Grogu. In truth, we need that. 2024 was a particularly bad year for Star Wars fandom, and there's a sense of desperation right now, an eagerness for something fresh and new that fundamentally is Kathleen Kennedy's abiding legacy. She will be remembered for some successes, yes, but ultimately for the fact that we need a reset. It's not entirely fair because the problems aren't all her fault, but it is what it is. She is stepping down at the right time. Yeah, after the whole franchise is completely just, people have such apathy for it. Yeah, you know what? When I basically kind of ran this thing into the dirt, now it's my time to leave. But what's that thing she did with the Joker did? Some people just want to watch. No, the thing that she said, oh, it's about sending, it's not about the money, it's about sending a message. Oh, and guess what else we're getting after this, guys? That potential Ray movie. Because Daisy Ridley's like, yeah, we might get the Ray movie. No one wants that. Who the fuck want? We had enough of Ray. I've seen enough Ray. I'm good. And Daisy Ridley as an actress is not that good anyway. It's very trash, honestly, in my opinion. Like, who the fuck wants a Ray movie? That's all we can come up with is a Ray movie? Nah, do what you got. Start over. Start over from scratch. Make that comic book series, The New Republic from the comic books. Do that. That's a direct sequel storyline with Thrawn. I forget the name, the character TH, the Thrawn. After that, and Lady Jane and all that other shit. I haven't read it yet. I have the Epic collections for it. There's stories after the Return of the Jedi to go off of, to have movies and shows on. There's Vader solo comics you can take inspiration from. There's stuff here. There's Mace Windu stuff out there in comic book format. Use stuff like that. Fucking God. This is why you never hire a woman to do a man's job. But yes, Lunchbox Warren, what is your final thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy potentially stepping down as the president of Lucasfilm?
I think it's a broken machine that she had part in, but I don't know if it's going to get any better. This doesn't mean that everything's going to get better now, and even if it does get better, the faith that they have to build back is going to be a monumental task. That if you look at Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, Star Wars has the deepest hole to dig out of. Marvel's getting close.
Aside from that,
well, yeah, that DC is, I think, is on the right track. So yeah, I'm good for her that she's retiring. Best of luck in whatever she does next. Happy life, but I don't think this is going to change much.
Gray, what about you for our typical lame and gay Kathlina?
Well, in honor of Miss Kennedy, I've taken her form for the evening, but yeah, I gotta say it really sucks because she had quite a legacy. So you mentioned all of those movies before, but on top of that,
legacy,
8 Best Picture nominations as a producer. She knew how to put together, or at least get everything that the directors needed to make some really amazing films. Again, E.T., Color Purple, Munich, Warhorse, Lincoln, and then there were like 3 other ones. I am totally missing them, but still 8 Best Picture nominations. She had a huge legacy, and sadly, this is such a mixed output for Lucasfilm, to put it mildly. Most of them are failures, but still, under her reign, we did get some really cool shit. I know I like Skeleton Crew. It's not everyone's favorite, but Andor seems to be universally loved by those who actually watched it. Again, she had kind of tainted most of the audience to where they didn't trust it at all. They weren't going to give it a shot, and fair enough. It was hard to. I know I took a few months to get into it because I thought there's no way. I saw Obi-Wan, and I can't remember the order that they all came out in, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just over this. But sadly, some of these really worked out for me. So I think it kind of makes sense that she's going out after Andor season 2. What else do they have that's good?
Well, I wanted to ask you this.
It looks like it's going to be strong.
Did you or Warren, did you guys ever watch that Tales of the Jedi animated series where it was telling the backstory of all the Jedi, like Mace Windu, Count Dooku, Qui-Gon? Did that ever come out? I know that came out, but no one ever
came
talked
out.
about it.
I watched clips of it, of different parts, but I never watched the full thing because I got rid of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So.
I think the same. I think I know I've definitely seen parts
of
of
it. Like an anthology Jedi.
I didn't know if it ever actually came out.
Idea. That is a cool idea, but keep in mind, if no one watched it, it's like you're at this point now with Star Wars where fan base is divided. You have people that put everything that Disney Star Wars does down their fucking throat to their esophagus like some porn star who takes dick in the mouth. Or you have people that are just so apathetic towards Disney at this point, they just don't give a fuck. Now, I agree with you guys.
You were so subtle with that. I didn't know where you were going until you finished that. And it was like, oh, that's what he meant. But Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just such a mixed legacy. You know, I can understand why she wants to go out after Andor too. I think it's been like 5 years we've been getting the rumors that, you know, she's out. Guess what? They just fired
Yeah.
her. Like you're never gonna believe this. From what I understand, so she's had a contract that needs to renew every 3 years. From what I understand, like 3 years ago, she actually had like an exit interview lined up with somebody and then just completely canceled it and ended up renewing her contract. So I don't know, man. It feels like it's been a long time coming, but it's very mixed. I think everybody wants to go out on a high note. I kind of have a feeling the only thing that's lined up that is going to be somewhat quality is going to be Andor 2. So I really hope that lives up to it. But yeah, that's where I would get out.
It really reminds me of that star quarterback who's on an amazing team, and then they want more money, so they leave to another team thinking it's all them, and then they just have a whole bunch of stinkers. I kind of feel like that's what happened here. She was on all-star teams, great movies, Oscar-nominated films.
Scotty Pippen to Michael Jordan.
Went
Yeah.
decided she was going to go to the Raiders and take them to a Super Bowl, and end up just washing out for 3 years. So yeah, I kind of feel like that's what happened to her on this whole thing. But you know, they don't call me, so
Yeah. So for me, it's just what I said just a second ago there. The fan base is pretty divided. You have Disney shills who suck dick just about as good as Riley Reid back in her prime, and fucking hell, Brat Nasty. Oh, Adriana Chedek. Oh my God, what a star. She could really choke on some cock. But we're at this.
Not familiar with those dudes.
Those are grim women, literal women, not the fake loony troons that you guys are interested in now these days. But it's just really just cooked right now. Whatever the box office gross of Mandalorian and Grogu is, that's kind of just the state of the interest in the brand. If that doesn't have any interest, it's kind of to take a break. You know, all you really can do.
If that bombs, that might be the final.
You have to reboot at that point. You have to change course then. You know.
Well, imagine Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion, and it's probably worth $1 billion now. Like, if they sold it back to George Lucas, he'd probably get it for half, if not a quarter of what he sold it
yeah,
for.
They haven't even made their money back from the acquisition, as we know.
And like Indiana Jones is ruined. Willow is ruined. I mean, there's so many
Disney just buys franchises and kills them. Marvel's dead. Doctor Who for a lot of people, you know.
We didn't touch on any of the Lucas stuff other than Star Wars, but
as
Lauren brought up, it's like, my God, they just erased Willow from the face of the earth.
That could have been a huge success for them, and that was just terrible.
Oh God, man, what else is there to say about Kathleen Kennedy? Yeah, I'll just say this for people here: if you're going to give her credit for all those other movies, then you must also not give her credit for the other ones, right? You know, I think it's pretty fair. She gets credit for the good things that we may or may think she did on those movies, even though there were some high-profile, talented people on there beside just the directors too. You know, and it's not just her; it's a whole crew of people: directors, producers, assistant directors, casting assistants, all that stuff. You know, so that's kind of just where it's at with my butthole, and I'm rapping. I'm joking. It's just jokes, but no, that is currently where we are at with Star Wars. It's just apathy, division, hatred, and basically just remembering the good times. Star Wars, just do shit from the comic books. At least you have a storyline there for a lot of them. That's stuff you can legitimately utilize. But you know what? Knowing Disney, they butcher that fucking shit too, because they're just actually just weird morons. They are allergic to money, you know? And they want the franchise to look like this. They went all on this LGBTQ weird people fucking bullshit. Well, that's not most of your franchise. That's not most of your audience too. Insulting a lot of them, not a good idea either. You know, when they were your willing paying customers since almost like the very beginning, 1977 for a lot of people, honestly. You know, but now they hate you. You're not their target audience. You, the person who's been here forever, not the weird fucker with blue hair on Twitter talking about chopping off his nuts. Yeah, that's their customer. No money, right? But who knows? It's all good. As the article said, it is what it is. I'm the Riz Master for a reason. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel. If you have not already, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to sign out, guys.